Hi, so now we will be sewing our fabrics together. So now this is the main fabric and this is the lining. So first we have to deal with the main fabric first. And before I forget, no part of this video should be used for monetary purpose because these are all work of Bilikis signature. So let's kick against that. So now I just cut out a gum stay. This is a gum stay. You could pad it, you could use stay, any type of pad to just enhance it to make it firm. So here I'll just be using a gum stay. And how do you place that? You place it on the main fabric, not on the lining. And then it's of two sides. Like this is the plain cotton side and this is the part that has the gum. So you will be placing the part that has the gum on the main fabric. So here I just cut about 8 inches of length and the width is wider. So you just place it like 1.5 or 2 inches above your waistline. Can you see this is my waistline? So you just place it something like this. Can you see that? And then the maximum you could do is the edge of your side panel. Can you see it? So it will be something like this. So all I'll just do is to spray some water on it and iron it together to stay. Then I can trim off the excess. So also on the side panel you can stop around this side. Can you see? So up to this place and up to this place. So I can trim this off and then iron it down. I will show you later. So now can you see I've ironed the gum stay to the fabric. So now I can trim off. The reason why I did that together was to save time and to reduce stress. So I will trim off. Can you see that? And I will trim this off also. Be careful when you are doing yours. So this is what it looks like after trimming off the gum stay. Can you see? It's hard. So now the next thing is that we have to sew this together, these sides. So I will advise you to just pin it down because you'll be sewing 1/2 inch. Remember we left 1/2 inch allowance. And remember you will be sewing on the wrong side. So you keep pinning it up. So now having pinned up the side to the middle panel, this is what it looks like. And around the bust area, just notch a little, like a 1/4 inch, because we are taking it up 1 inch. So just notch a little. This will help you when you are sewing around the curve. So we start sewing from the bottom. Remember 1/2 inch. Make sure you pin the side. So first your middle. Make sure it's 1/2 inch. You can mark it with your chalk. And now I'll start sewing that. Don't forget to back stitch. 1/2 inch off. And make sure you go in a curvy manner around this part. This is the waist area. Don't just sew it straight. In a curvy manner. Can you see that? And then you keep sewing. Then keep removing the pins. Also the bust area go in a curvy manner. Make sure the sides are together. Can you see that? So don't forget to remove the pins. And you see that. Be careful of the lower fabric. And then you keep sewing. That's the advantage of pinning. And you see the sides matches. That was because we extended the armhole area by the 1 inch for the dart. Can you see that? Can you see the way it is being sewn? So on the right side, this is what it looks like. Can you see that? So by the time you iron it smoothly, the curved area will protrude more. Can you see that? And here everything matches up. So now we will sew the other side same way. So after sewing the sides together, this is what you have. Can you see that? So let me just turn to the right to show you. So by the time we press now, so the bust area will be more prominent. So I will take it to my ironing board to press it to make the shape come out more. So also the same way I sew these sides together, I will also sew the lining together. So I will sew it and show you. So now for the lining, I've sewn one side together. So this is the second side I want to sew. Just make sure you start from the bottom and it matches, and then 1/2 inch. Do not forget that. Make sure you pin yours. Don't forget to back stitch. And then you keep sewing. So this waist area, make sure you go in a heavy manner. Make sure the fabrics are together. And then the bust area, I will just notch as I've explained on the main fabric. But make sure you pin yours down. It will help you. Let's see this. Can you see that? And it matches at the end. So this is the lining also after joining together. So I will give both the main fabric and the lining a very good press and come back to show you how it looks. So now after giving it a good press, can you see I open up the seam? Can you see all through? And then on the right side, the bust area will become prominent. Also the lining, can you see that? After giving it a good press, can you see this is how it looks? So now we move to the back pattern. So this is how the back fabrics look like. Can you see that? So now we will start sewing just the way we sew the front fabric together. And note, because we did not take that at the armhole, so the back should be flat. The curve here, it should be flat. I will show you while I'm sewing. So now I haven't put the needle into my fabric. I will sew 1/2 inch again. So don't forget to remove your pin, and remember, always go in a curvy manner in the areas that are curved, and use your hand to always adjust your fabric together. So on getting to this area, you can notch also, but it should be flat because this is the back. Okay, can you see the way I curved it? And then I will finish it up. So now after sewing the back, this is one panel for the back and for the lining and the fabric. Can you see the back? Can you see it is flat? It is not protruding as the front. So this is it, because we do not take that from here. So you can see it is so flat. Also on the main fabric, can you see it is flat? So by the time I give it a good press, it will be flat. So let me just show you that. So now can you see I've given it a good press? So can you see it's all flat? The back panel should not be bulgy. Can you see even the main fabric? Can you see how flat they all look? So that is how it should be. So now we'll start coupling it together. So now what we'll do now is to fix the neck, because since we are attaching to a lining, so we just turn it over with the lining. So what you will do now is to place the right side on the right side. So this is the right side of the lining and this is the right side of the main fabric. So just place it on each other this way. Can you see that? And then just pin up the neck, and then we'll be sewing 1/4 inch of 1/2 inch this way. This is for the front pattern. So right now I have pinned the fabric together. Remember, right side facing each other. So then I will take in 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch and then sew. Do not forget to backstitch. And then you keep removing your pin. Make sure you curve it gently. It's always easier when turning with the lining. And don't forget to backstitch. Going over the neck again. And do not pull the fabric. And keep it. Go along with the curve. So this is how the neck looks like. So before turning it, in case you don't have a serger, so all you have to do is to just take 1/2 inch also through the armhole and all through the sides. So then you will turn it from beneath. But since I have a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine, so after turning the neck, then I can use the zigzag stitch to attach to finish the raw edge of the fabric. But if you don't have, you just use it, you turn it from underneath. Also, you should add that 1/4 inch to your seam allowance in case you are doing that, but I will just use a zigzag stitch to finish the edge. So now before turning, all I have to do is to notch all through the neck. So this will make it easier when I'm top stitching. Can you see that? So just like 1 inch away from each other. Can you see that? Can you see the way I'm notching all through? So we keep doing that. So after notching it all through this way, then I can turn my fabric. Then I will top stitch. This will make the fabric and the lining stay because you don't want the lining showing beneath your fabric. So what I will do is that after opening it up this way, I will just sew this seam allowance for the neck. I will just sew that to this lining. Can you see? This is the wrong side, so I will sew it this way. So it will make it stay. I've placed the lining underneath, so the seam will be sewing it together with the lining. Can you see that? Just use your hand to adjust because you want to open it. And you keep doing that. So after top stitching, then I can turn the fabric. Can you see? It helps it stay. So when you turn to this side, you can see you don't have your lining peeking out from underneath the main fabric. Can you see? It stays there. That was because we top stitch. So I will just use my iron to give it a good press also. Can you see? Then I'll press it this way and then use my zigzag stitch to finish up these raw edges of the fabric. So if you use a 1/4 inch to sew it inwards, by the time you open it like this, all this place will be finished. But I will just use a zigzag stitch to finish the raw edge from the armhole area down to the side of my top. So now for the back panel, can you see that? So also same way we did for the front, we will do for the back. So right side facing right side of the lining. Can you see? This is the right side and this is the right side. So make sure they are facing each other and then pin it down. So now I will be finishing the neckline. So here also I will sew this way. So remember, I told you if you want to turn your lining with your fabric, add extra 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch to the seam allowance of the zipper. So now, if you are doing that, if you added, I just added 1 inch. So, but for the sake of people that want to do that, so what I will do now is, I will take 1/2 inch for the neckline and then continue sewing down here. That is how you finish the edge of your lining in case you added the seam allowance. But I will be taking in 1/4 inch. So by the time I'm sewing my zipper, I'll be left with 3/4 inches to take the allowance in. So now, also, if you are using your normal straight stitch to finish also the side, you just take in 1/4 inch all through from the armhole area all through down, and then you bring it out from the bottom. But I will just use my zigzag stitch to do that, and if you have a serger, it is easier. But for that of the zipper, just take 1/2 inch from here, bring it down here, and then I will take 1/4 inch all down, so it will make it so neat. So I will sew it and show you. So I will just take 1/2 again and then go in the corner. Remember to always remove your pins. Just the same seam allowance you took for the front, and adjust with your fingers. So now I'm where the 1/4 inch for the back stop. So I'll just lift up the foot and then turn it this way. Can you see that? I've taken 1/2 inch for the neck, so I want to take 1/4 inch all through down. So then I'll pull down my foot and then keep sewing 1/4 inch. But if you want more like 1/2 inch, you have to leave the same allowance on your fabric. So I will sew 1/4 inch all down. Please do not pull your fabric. Just put your hand at the back as a guide. Can you see that we are done? So now let me show you. Can you see? I have done that. So now I will just notch this place and top stitch the same way I taught you on the previous neck we did, and I will turn it for you to see. So now after top stitching like I taught you, so now I will pull it to the right side. Can you see that? So you will have a perfect finish. Can you see? This is the zip allowance. So if you did the same thing to this side, it will look the same like this, but I will just use my zigzag stitch to finish the raw edge. Can you see that? And I'll give it a good press and then use my zigzag stitch to finish it up and show you. So now, after using the zigzags to finish the raw edge, can you see how neat it looks? So if you have a serger, it's better. Can you see how neat it looks? So this is for the back panel. Can you see also? So now the next thing we will do now is to join the shoulders together. So we will be joining this, just pin it down, remember on the wrong side, and also here before attaching the sleeve. So now that's the next stage. We will be joining this shoulder before attaching the sleeve. So now I will, remember we added 1/2 inch seam allowance as the shoulder. So now I will be taking it out. So remember to always back stitch. Remove the pin. Also back stitch. So now I will use the zigzag stitch to finish this raw edge, and I will show you how to top stitch the shoulder. So I've used the zigzag stitch to finish the raw edge. So now I will now open it up like this. So I will push the seam towards the back fabric, and then I will sew on this just like 1/8 inch. Can you see that? I put down the foot, and then on the right side. So after top stitching, this is what you have. Can you see that? Can you see? So neat. Look at the inner part. Can you see? So it is enclosed. So now we'll go over to attach the sleeve. So now after attaching the shoulder and top stitching, this is how it looks. So now the next stage is to attach your sleeve. If you are someone that sew your side seam before attaching your sleeve, then you need to sew your side seam first. But I am of the opinion of attaching my sleeve before sewing the side seam. So now I will attach my sleeve. The midpoint of the sleeve must match the midpoint of the shoulder. So now let us sew. Always be careful when you are joining your sleeve to your bodies. Always adjust with your fingers. I already made a detailed video on that. Can you see? The middle of the sleeve matches up with the middle, with the shoulder line. So that shows we are on track. And then we'll keep doing this all through. So now after attaching the sleeves, I will now sew the side seam together. So can you see that? So I'll start from here. The seam allowance I left all down. So now, having joined the side seam, I will turn it to the right for you to see before fixing the zip. Can you see that? This is how it looks. This is the sleeve. You can make any type of sleeve you want, bell, circular sleeve, whatever. So here I'll give it a good press. And can you see the inside? Everything is so neat. This is how it should be. It should be neat on the outside and also neat on the inside. So the next stage now is to fix the zipper. So now we want to fix the zipper. This is my zipper allowance that is left. Like, remember I took in 1/4 inch, so the remaining 3/4 inch is this. So remember my seam allowance for hemming is 1 inch. I will note that. That is where the zipper should stop. So this is the 1 inch. So this is the 1 inch hemming allowance for my top. So now I will now determine. So that means the zipper should stop here. So this will go with the hemming allowance. That is from where the zipper stops. So that means my zipper will be from here. That is where it stops. Here. Can you see? And then you determine where you want it to end. This is the end of my zipper, so I will just do somewhere around, or better still, just mark on the zipper. Can you see? I'm using an invisible zipper because after fixing it, it shouldn't show. So this is where it will stop. You can also mark it on the fabric. So I will change my presser foot to that of a zipper, and now I will sew. I will show you how to do that. So now what I did was I placed my invisible zipper how it should be, because this is how it should be. Can you see that? So when you close it up, this should be on the upper part. So that means you will turn this place this way. Can you see? When you zip it, it will be like this. So I opened it up and I pin it down on the 1 inch or 3/4 or whatever seam allowance you left for the zipper. So I pin it down from where my seam hemming allowance will stop. Can you see that? This is where my hemming allowance will stop. So now I will take to the sewing machine and sew. If you have a zipper foot, no problem. But if you don't have, you can use the normal foot, and then all you have to do is to just sew. Leave the part that you have to sew close to the zipper. I will explain that also. So now we will just sew through in case of those people that do not have the zipper foot. So now I'll show you on the sewing machine.
Go.
So now I will just put on the zip foot, and then you just sew. You know, we have to sew in such a way that it will be close to this, but just sew first because that will make it easier for you. So in case you don't have this foot, no problem, just sew here on this to make it stick down. So I'll keep sewing to where I want it to stop. So I'll keep sewing. Don't forget to remove the pins. Can you see that? So for instance, I want my zipper to stop here. So that is where I will stop my needle. So you can't just backstitch. So after doing that, then I will cut off the thread. Then I will now go back to it. Can you see we have sewn it down? Can you see? So you can use any foot. So now we will now go to sew very close to this zipper. But because we have already sewn it down, it will be easier for us to go closer as possible. So now, remember we started sewing from the lower part just to make the zipper stay. So now, we have to sew now very close to the invisible zipper because only little should be showing on the invisible zipper. And because my foot is left-handed, so in doing that, I will have to turn my fabric this way. So I will start from the upper part downwards. So now I will place it so well. So now I will place my foot this way. Can you see it? Then while you are sewing, you will try to open up this invisible zipper and sew very, very close. That was why initially we sewed this. So the zipper won't be able to move around. So now it will be easy for you to open and it will still stay in place. So now very close, I will just make sure I put my needle very close to it. So after doing that, I will now start sewing down. I will just backstitch a little. Can you see that? Then you start opening the zipper and then sew, guiding with your hand. Can you see that? So because we have sewed this, so it won't move around, and I will keep sewing downward. So even if you don't have a zipper foot, it's no problem. Once you have used this method of pinning it down, just keep opening the zipper. Can you see that? Keep adjusting with your hand. And this is where the zipper stops. I'll just backstitch a little and then remove it for you to see. So now let me show you. Can you see it? Can you see that? So can you see it's so close that by the time you close up your zipper, you won't see the zipper at all. That is why it is called invisible zipper. So the same way I have done this, I will do to the other side. Then you can now sew very close to the zipper. It will be easier for you because you have already locked it down with a straight stitch here. So now I will take it to the sewing machine to show you how to do that. So now I will put it under my foot. If you have a zipper foot, no problem, but if you don't have, no problem. So all I'll do now is just to stitch a straight stitch. Don't bother about the zipper first. So I'll put my foot down and then start sewing. Can you see that? I will just sew straight down. So you keep doing this till where the zipper will stop. So this is where I want the zipper to stop. So this is where I will stop the straight stitch. You can just back stitch a little. So now I will show you what it looks like. Let me cut the thread. So now look at it. So you can remove all the pins. So looking at it, can you see? This is how it looks. So now we will now take it back to the sewing machine, and then we will now start sewing very close to this place. So you use your hand to open it up. So if you don't have, can you see, even if you don't have a zipper foot, is no problem. So you keep opening it and then you keep sewing so close to the zipper. Can you see? It's so easy. So this already in place will help the zipper from not moving around. So let me show you on the sewing machine. So now first I will put my needle in it and then put down the foot. So now I will now start sewing, opening up this so as to be so close to it. So I will just backstitch a little and then keep going. Keep opening it up. Can you see that? So any normal foot will do this, because we already have this part in place. Can you see that? And you keep doing that to where the zipper stops. So now this is where I will stop the zip. So here I'll just back stitch and then we are done. So now I've turned it to the right side. Can you see? So now before joining this place, I'll just zip it off for you to see how it looks. Can you see that? Can you see the invisible zipper is hardly showing on the fabric? So this is how an invisible zipper should look like. It should be closed up. So now the next thing is to turn back to the wrong side to sew this place up. So now this is back on the wrong side and this is how it looks on the wrong side. Can you see? It's so neat and it is not shifted. So now whatever seam allowance you took for your zipper, that is the same thing you will take for your remaining seam allowance. So all you have to do now is to bring this forward, then you can use your pin. You can pin it down. It is easier that way. So this is where it stops. So this is my seam allowance. So I'll now take it to the sewing machine to sew right from here where the invisible zipper, where you stopped with your thread and needle. So then you sew it down to match up with the edge of the top. So now having put my top under the needle, so all I have to do is that move this forward, and this is where I want to start from. So that is where I will place the needle. Then I will put the foot down and then I will move forward and also back stitch. After doing that, then I will sew the seam allowance. I will advise you to mark it with your chalk. If it is not easy for you, then I will keep sewing. Don't forget to remove your pins. Can you see that? I will remove the last pin and you see everything matches up. And then do not forget to back stitch, and then we are done. I will cut the thread and show you. So now can you see on the wrong side, this is how it looks. Can you see it matches up with the zipper? Then now I will turn to the right side for you to see. On the right side, after turning it, can you see everything matches up? So an invisible zipper shouldn't really be showing. So this is how to fix an invisible zipper. So then you just hem your lower part this way. After hemming it, so this is what you have. So it ends at the hemming allowance. So I hope the tutorial on how to make an invisible zipper has been helpful. Thank you. So now having fixed the invisible zipper and you see how lovely it is. So what I'll do now is to hem the lower part. Remember, we already marked where the hemming allowance will start. So after hemming it, I will give it a good press and then show you how it looks. Hi guys, and this is the result of the classic princess that we have just made. Can you see it is so easy to cut and also to sew? You can just give it a try, and I hope my tutorial has been helpful to you. Just give it a try and see you later. Bye.